And they called you a racist for that?
They did. Which is actually quite interesting because I got a call from the Foundational Black American Society here in Florida who reminded me that Byron's mother is Jamaican, he is Panamanian, and they found it quite insulting in their words that he would try to claim victimhood of slavery without a single descendant of American slaves in his family.
I like those foundational guys.
They're so good.
Tariq Nasheed and all. I mean, I don't agree with everything, but they've got a person here 400 years, and the descendants of a lot of American slaves or families have been here 400 years. I don't know. I think that gives. I'll listen to you. Like you've
100%.
You've got a point of view that is legitimate, I think.
Yeah. And they're unequivocally heritage Americans.
That's for sure.
100%.
They're definitely heritage Americans, if anyone is. And, someone rolls in from Ghana and gets an MSNBC slot and starts speaking on behalf of Black people. It's like, shut up, honey. You've got nothing to do with this.
Right.
That's
Literally.
a fair perspective,
right.
I think.
And so it's good to actually see them call them out for that. That's actually cultural appropriation. Appropriating a struggle of slavery.
I totally agree.
And the struggle of slavery was real. I don't think Republicans ever want to really whitewash that. It's real,
no.
Right? But for
we're
Byron,
against slavery.
We're against it.
Whether it's in the, West Bank or here or anywhere.
Or anywhere.
Yeah, against it.
And so for Byron's group, his team, to call me and essentially our entire supporting base racists for saying that you're a slave when quite literally you took $45 million. You won't tell us what you agreed to take that money this early in a primary, which is unprecedented. You know this, how unprecedented that kind of money is in an uncontested primary until now. But secondarily, to actually go out and try to gaslight us and think that you're just one of those guys that has been here, since the early 1800s and your family was in the struggle too. You're not. And that's a very interesting term that the Foundational Black Americans use. It's called tether. They're tethering these tethers like Byron Donalds. They come here literally one generation in, and they try to just sit around and act so folksy that we're all part of the same struggle and we're all down on and we need to fight against. No, you just got here, dude. Like the Haitians, like the guys from Ghana who just got here, you don't get to just be a part of our system and then lecture us about how our country went wrong.
Y'all don't hear us. Pull up a seat and motherfucking listen. Pull up a seat and motherfucking listen.
Hey, pack your bag, time to go home.
Talking crazy on our soil where our blood and bones grown.
This our grind, we outside on it. While y'all fools on the outside looking, y'all show no respect to Black America, so leave. Hey.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, take your digits, make it just fly on.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, take your digits, make it just fly on.
You landed on the tarmac, fresh off the boat. Talking about y'all building nothing, man, you choking on the note. My ancestors the reason that this country even breathes. Picked the cotton, built the White House, planted the seed. Jim Crow laws, redlined the map, we was the target. You think that struggle's a costume, man, you can't mark it. We fought the wars, we bled the blood, we died for our future's chance. And you come here and give our legacy a side eye while throwing shade on the guard. While you benefit from doors we kicked down with our last breath. Now you spit on the architects who stared down death. Disrespectful, that's disrespectful, ungrateful, a slap in the face, the only people who gave a fuck. So let me show your ungrateful ass to the right place. Ho, ho.
Pack your bags, time to go home.
Talking crazy on our soil where our blood and bones grown.
This our ground and we outside on it. While y'all fools on the outside looking, y'all show no respect to Black America, so leave.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, take your digits, make it just fly on.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, take your digits, make it just fly on.
Passport, the visa, the privilege to be here. Cause my grandma did march for y'all, so disappear from our land. You cosplaying our pain. Think it's a trend you can borrow, but you ain't inherit the ghosts of our sorrow. We the foundation, the bedrock, the soil, and the root. You not no branch on our tree, and unproductive people always cosplaying me.
Talking about we ain't do nothing. You lost your mind. We built this from nothing, time after time.
From the beginning to now, we've been the backbone and muscle. Why you look down on the struggle and cause a whole tussle? That energy spat with disgusting is whack.
Oh.
So let's make it clear, there's no turning back.
This land is paid for in full.
In blood, sweat, and tears, and dreams deferred.
You don't get to come into a house we built from the dirt and telling Black America y'all ain't worth nothing. That's a violation. Facts.
Pack your bags, time to go home.
It's our soil on our soil where our blood and bones grow.
Show respect, this our ground. Y'all just tenants on a leash.
Or get the step.
Show no respect to Black America, so leave.
Oh, don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, taking your business, I can just lie on.
Oh, don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, taking your business, I can just lie on.
Yeah, fly little birdies.
Fly on back to where you came from.
This ain't for you. The soil is sacred.
We said what we said.
It's time
For y'all to go home. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. Far, far, far away from here. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. Far, far away from here. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. Far, far away from here. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. Far, far away from here. Bye bye, little birds.
We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a 3rd grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives.
Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the mountain. Good evening in the central. Good evening on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the reparationist perspective. Bringing you those Negro Freedmen hot topics and making the case for reparations, y'all. Making the case for deportations, y'all. Making the case for weaponizing our vote, socializing our suffering. Making the case for delineation, y'all. Welcome to the live. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to be a part of the co-host, come over and join me on Screw 2. Let's keep it lit. I'm going to do my best not to detain y'all long. That intro was an intro that I cut from a previous broadcast. I had to incorporate it in today's subject because the gentleman Tucker Carlson was talking to is actually competing with Byron Donaldson in the primaries coming up, the Republican primaries in Florida's gubernatorial race. And so I'm here, y'all, to show you not only do we have to weaponize our votes against the demon rats, we also must weaponize our votes when we're voting for its opposition. When we are voting to get people to represent us and our interests as Americans, we also need to use the same strategies to get these immigrants out of political office. As I mentioned to you on previous broadcasts, there's nowhere in the world I could go and become a governor and start talking about we, as if I had a hand in anything that's become of their countries. I couldn't run for political office. I can't own property the way they're able to come over here and gobble up the properties and make it impossible for the Americans to actually afford to be here. They're not going to prioritize me with respect to jobs or health care or any of the things that our government uses and weaponizes against us to keep us bottom caste. That ain't going down nowhere in the world for Negro Freedmen. So I thought this was a perfect example because Byron is aspiring to become the governor of Florida, built on the backs of our ancestors, and is a no to reparations, and is taking AIPAC money, and has got $45 million for Miriam Adelson, who is down with the Zionists. We've got to expose these people so that we can start to understand that identity and respectability politics, no matter what side of the aisle you on, I'm an independent, is the death of the Negro. When you just turn up to the polls and you start voting for folks that look like you, you've been doing that for 70 years. That's how we got to the bottom. And so this broadcast is going to show you by example why we must move away from that and vote for the candidate that has our best interest at heart. Byron Donaldson ain't it. Byron Donalds, rather. He ain't it. And so I'm not going to belabor because I've got a lot to show you and a lot to weigh in on. So let's get into it if we're going to get into it. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you in advance. And thank you to those of you who patronize the broadcast and support my advocacy on behalf of Negro Freedmen. I greatly appreciate your support. Thank you so much for helping me to overcome the shadow bans and the demonetization of my channel. All right, let me share my screen because we got a lot to go over. Stand by. Okay, just a second, y'all. Can you make sure you can see it? Very good.
And Trump. Dr. King said at the tail end of his life, he said, we're going to Washington to get our check. You understand? So now, what is your position on reparations?
Thank you. Great question. Thank you. We can all be quiet and let them answer. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be direct. First of all, I'll be direct with you. I'll be. You don't want to hear the Jim Crow stuff. Listen, I'll be direct with you. I don't believe in reparations. I don't. Well, then you don't believe in the black community. I will tell you, brother in the hat with the glasses on, that's not true.
Oh, it's absolutely true. I'm going to be stopping intermittently because I ain't got time to show y'all the whole video and then weigh in. So I'm going to be weighing in as spirit leads me to. You know, me and the ancestors cook over here. So, yeah, forgive me in advance, but I will be stopping when the ancestors knock on me to say something. When the gentleman says, after Byron says, I don't believe in reparations, then you don't believe in the black community. That's absolutely the gospel truth. You have to understand, family, that as soon as our ancestors fought and won civil rights after the Jim Crow era, they put their lives on the line to fight for the Negro Freedmen to have civil rights in this country. Then the glacier donkeys in government decided to bring in more immigration. They had the Ellis Island whites pouring into the country. It was the Negro Freedmen who fought for the melanated immigrants to come into this country so that we could have allies, so that we could build our numbers. And they've been a grave disappointment ever since. They've come over here. They have marked the box African American, marked the box Black American. They've gotten all of our scholarships. Not all. Some of us still got a few scholarships. They all up and through our HBCUs, family. They've been able to get jobs in this country. Would you be able to go to their countries and do the same? Would they give you scholarships to attend their universities? Would they give you money for housing? Would they give you money for businesses? Would they give you health care? Would they give you welfare, free cash aid? All the things that our ancestors fought and died for us to have for our advancement, our government has freely given them. They say they don't believe in reparations when them being allowed into this country on the heels of our ancestors' heinous chattel slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives is their reparations. They fled their Holocaust, and our government hell-bent on ethnically cleansing us and our justice claim. Because remember, we were promised 40 acres and a mule after our ancestors fought and won the Civil War. Andrew Johnson, after Lincoln was murdered, rescinded that and then gave the Ellis Island whites, their criminals that they allowed into this country, 150 years and counting of the Homestead Act, and left the Negro Freedmen to pull herself up by her bootless straps. And because they didn't have our intellect, they stole our intellectual property. From the time we were enslaved and coming up with inventions to make this country great, our masters would steal those inventions. And because we were only considered 3/5 of a man, they stole those inventions and patented in the master's names. Most of what makes America great started with the slave, our ancestors, who were doing just fine before Plymouth Rock landed on us. Ain't that right, Christopher Columbus, who saw us when he arrived on the shores? Not these Hispanic-looking Indians that stole our identity from Siberia or somewhere. I'm going to do that on a whole nother live. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole with that. I'm just trying to tell you, family, that we have been robbed and continue to be robbed for these ingrates of melanated immigrants to get to this country, benefit from everything that was intended for us with the help of our government, to get into positions of power off of everything intended for us, only to sit up here in a room full of black folk and boldly tell you, I don't believe in reparations. Let's continue.
I will tell you is that there's a question if you're going to get into the full economics of reparations right now. Question number one, of all black people in the country.
The economics of reparations. We've got a wealth gap that we're contending with these immigrants, including the whites. Everybody is immigrant to this land but the Negro Freedmen. We were here already. Nobody can show you any museums with any relics of all these slave ships that all of us were supposed to have come over here in. You can't find them nowhere because you were already here. Your complexion is what got you enslaved. And they always like to talk about how black folks own other blacks. No, black folks who were in a position that were free would buy their family members. They weren't doing the heinous chattel slavery that the glacier donkey subjected us to. So this is how revisionist history comes about and makes you think we all came over here from Africa on slave ships, but they can't show you no relics. So when we talk about the economics, I've shared with you probably about 6 years ago or so, that of the 3 trillion household dollars black folks, flat black shared, 14% predominantly melanated immigrants shared in 2.93 trillion. 14%, y'all. The other, 86% of us, mostly from descendants of the emancipated, shared in less than 700 billion. That was pre-pandemic. And of all the trillions of household dollars, whites and immigrants share between 150 trillion to 200 trillion dollars. How in the world, with the school to prison pipeline, with the highest rates of unemployment, underemployment, homelessness, and evictions, with the highest percentages of abortion, are we supposed to, are expected to close a $150 to $200 trillion egregious wealth gap with $700 billion for our collective? Pre-pandemic, I don't even know what those numbers are now. Surely worse off. So we've got the numbers, but we're outmanned, outgunned, outmoneyed, thanks to the government being complicit in keeping us tethered to the bottom of this Titanic called America with 3 Ks, and allowing people like this to get a national world stage while silencing people like me, while demonetizing people like me, while shadow banning people like me. So he wants to talk about the economics. It's not even a want. First of all, reparations is a debt that is owed for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. This ain't welfare. This ain't a handout. It's a debt that's owed by our government because they stole it from us. And then when we went and pulled ourselves up by our bootless straps without any assistance from the government, building 50 Black Wall Streets, these glacier donkeys were envious and came through and burned it to the ground. That's the economics of reparations. That's why we're demanding it. Because we are done as a lineage without it. Let's keep going.
How many of them are actually descendants of slaves? Because you've had a lot of immigration over the last 100 years in America, of American slaves.
See, that's the excuse I'm over. I won't say sick and tired because I don't want to bring that into my experience, okay? But that's the excuse. I am very over. We know who the hell we are. The insurance companies who insured our bodies know who we are. You can tell mostly who we are by our surnames. You can tell by our birth certificates. Mine says Negro. Byron's, even if he was born here, his birth certificate don't say Negro. A lot of these immigrants say that they're white. Even Skamala's mama, East Indian Brahmin caste, wrote that they were white on Skamala's birth certificate. So there's no confusion about who is owed this reparations. Lineage-based cash repair. There's no confusion in it. But these are the games these glacier donkeys that spearhead this country play. Because America with 3 Ks is a corporation. And they're running it like one to put these melanated immigrants in position under flat blackness to ethnically cleanse us and our justice claim. If people didn't know the difference between a Negro and the melanated immigrant, why aren't we being deported? Don't let these people gaslight you. This is why even on the red side, which for me, y'all already know is a protest vote against the demon rats. Even on the red side, we've got to do our due diligence and make sure these melanated immigrants like Byron, like Nikki Haley, like Vivek Smarmy. We can't allow these people to get elected. We got to show up to the polls to defeat this intentional neglect of the Negro on both sides of the aisle. In Ohio, I would just assume give it to that white girl over Vivek Smarmy. She's on the demon rat side. But if that's all you got, that's what the weaponization of your vote looks like. You got to vote against these tethers who like to come over to this country and cosplay you for their advancement and then want to close the door. That's what they do. Let's continue.
There was slavery in the Caribbean. The one brother came up, he said that he's first generation.
We don't give a damn about Caribbean. We don't give about colonialism in Africa. They all got their thing that they're pursuing repair on, and guess what they don't do as they got their hands in all of our business over here? They don't have the Negro Freedmen earmarked to get no CARICOM. They don't have the Negro Freedmen earmarked to get nothing going on in Africa for colonialism. But they all want their grubby little hands on our repair. And if we won't allow them to have it, which as we know, The minute you give them a dime, they gonna want the whole kitty and leave the Negro freedmen with the crumbs. So they are all in on it. They have decided if we can't co-opt your reparations, your lineage-based cash repair, we're going to obstruct and make sure you never see a dime. Let's go.
The brother in the Kango, because his parents came from Jamaica. My grandmother is from Jamaica, so my grandmother's Jamaican. I know exactly what you're talking about. My mother was born in the United States. I'm born in the United States. So this is a fundamental question. You a black man, I'm a black man.
Second generation. And this is the problem with flat blackness. And this is why we demand delineation. This is how this movement started, oh my God, about 2016. Me and my fellow cohorts in the grassroots contemporary reparations movement started getting politically educated through the Negro lens. And started to see what had happened over the past 70 years, voting demon rat. Obama was the last demon rat I voted for. Because I woke up when that ninja who was placed into office for 2 terms with the Negro vote had the unmitigated gall to say no to reparations. That woke me up. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. That woke me up. And it was from that point on that I started to see the trick bag of the panties, the Pan-African movement. The trick bag of the title African American, which Elon Musk is, which Mondami was able to get benefits as an African American. Mindy Ling's brother wrote a book about how he was able to pass as African American to get scholarships to some of the most prestigious institutions in the country. Then we started fighting for delineation with the Office of Management and Budget, who denied us delineation because of Mark Morial from the National Urban League coming up in there Johnny lately and stating, no, if you allow them to delineate, it's going to, the 50 million of them are going to hurt the feelings of the 4 million immigrants in the country at the time. Because they're all in on it. They know good and well that it's easy to replace Black Americans under flat blackness and install all of these melanated immigrants, and no one would be the wiser. Because instead of doing it based on lineage, they're doing it based on skin tone. That's how they intend to ethnically cleanse us and make the likes of the Byron Donalds the new Black Americans. Always remember, Barack Obama is responsible for the office of New Americans. That includes the melanated ones, who, oh, by the way, have started going through and scrubbing where their parents descend from. They scrub their names, they change their names. Now that we have caught on, they are changing everything to try to cosplay and infiltrate the Negro Freedmen line. To our ethnic cleansing by economic genocide. Let's continue.
Am I eligible for reparations right now? I would say the answer is no, I'm not.
No, you're not. And that is why you're obstructing ours. And that is why anytime you get a mic, you speak against it for the Negro Freedmen. You clearly got your education in Florida from one of our universities. And look at you now. You are running for the gubernatorial race down in Florida, where I don't even know, because of flat blackness, how many Negroes are still even in Florida. It's been infiltrated by these tethers. But we got something for that. Keep staying close to the broadcast. I'm going to show you who I'm encouraging y'all to vote for down in Florida. And I'm going to be doing that over here at the Reparations Perspective, showing you the puckery, right? And then giving you a solution. Let's continue.
Because my family is from Jamaica. My father's Panamanian. His grandparents were born in Panama. My father immigrated to the United States. So does that make me eligible? So you got to go through all of that. That's step one. Step number two, slavery under federal law was ended in 1865. The Jim Crow era ended, obviously, with the 64 Civil Rights Act, the 65 Voting Rights, etc. The fundamental question is, you've now had 3 generations of black people come up in the United States. As a black kid today, does he get reparations?
Okay, so nobody said this about the Jews getting reparations up and through to this day. You hear his racist, repugnant clan with 3K's talking point. This is what I'm talking about, how these black faces, these melanated faces in high places are there to undermine and obstruct our progress on reparations, on delineation. That is what the government is using to absolve them of the debt that's owed in the quadrillions. I need to do my intro over. They owe us in the quadrillions, not 107 trillion or whatever I said in that commercial. Thomas Kramer came up with that number, if you want to look it up and see how he derived that number. But even that number needs to be updated because he calculated that number some years ago when we were doing the task force. He came to the hearings to tell us how he got to that math. But yeah, they want to come over here, Johnny lately, and pretend like, oh, we don't know who gets it now, and why should you be due? Because slavery was generations ago. That's why I always specify the kind of reparations I'm seeking. It's not just for slavery. Altogether now, it's for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their very lives. This is still going on today. This is still going on today. You're still burning down everything we built by our bootless straps. You burn it down when you flood our neighborhoods with 25 million unvetted, unvaxxed, illegal criminals. If you came into this country illegally, even on invitation by Joe Crow and Skamala, it's a crime. When you start to take all the benefits the demon rats gave you, free housing, free healthcare, free education, free cash aid, free jobs, that's a crime you've stolen from the Negro Freedmen, who, as a result of you moving into our communities, have suffered under a whole nother heinous gentrification. One of my colleagues calls it imagentrification. That's what it is, because now you've got more numbers than you do housing, which is why the housing goes through the roof, which is why our taxes go through the roof. Because these demon rats have given it away to these illegals. They've got to make them more American than you so that when they go out to the polls illegally, they'll vote demon rat. That's what they're gambling on. To erase and replace us, our vote, and our justice claim. So you damn straight, this ain't about going all the way back to repair the persons that were enslaved, just like you give zero damns when you give all that money to the Jews. You ain't looking to repair the ones that were harmed in the Holocaust. You're giving it to their descendants, but when it comes to our descendants, you take issue with that. When we are on the bottom in every metric of society due to the theft of the government and the tethers. Let's continue.
Question. Hold on now. Third question. You got a lot of other people in the United States. Asians, are they responsible for the cost of the slave trade?
Hell damn Skippy, yes. Hell damn Skippy, yes. All you tethers are responsible for the cost of slavery. Do you not benefit from its fruit? Do you not benefit from the fruit? You all, as a collective, I just shared with you the numbers. Pre-pandemic. Of the $3 trillion we shared pre-pandemic, y'all had $2.93 trillion. And y'all just got here. We've been over here 600 or more years. You damn Skippy, every tether that left their Holocaust and came over here and just attached themselves to all the goodies that our government willingly gave away to ethnically cleanse us by economic genocide, all y'all itches owe. You put nothing into this country. No intellectual property into this country. You didn't build this country. You weren't the chattel slaves of this country. But you benefit from everything that we're denied. Y'all itches owe us.
No, because they're of Asian descent, people of Indian descent, people who are Hispanic in the United States, the largest growing population in the United States, and of course the dominant population is still the white population. But even in that, it's not just Southern whites that were plantation owners from their grandfathers. So if you're going to talk about reparations today, what you're talking about is taking money from other Americans, which quite rightly, the pain and the toil that did happen in America through slavery, through Jim Crow, but now you're asking Americans today and in the future to pay that bill.
Damn straight. I made my point. If you benefit from the fruit, you owe as a part of the debt. Furthermore, if the government can make y'all more American than us and tax us for it, because that's what they do. They give y'all everything that it was intended for us, deny us, and make our taxes go up. Why should I be responsible for paying for my erasure and replacement with you? Why should I be paying for my economic genocide with you? Why am I paying to house you, to feed you, to give you cachet, to clothe you? Why is that my responsibility when it's the government's plan to use you to erase me, my justice claim, and my vote?
Is it that bill? Is it their bill, Americans today, to pay? I'll ask you a slightly different question. It's not reparations. It's about Joe Biden's student loan bailout. And I'm not going off, but
see, class-based policies don't fix the Negro Freedmen. This is the problem with the demon rats. It's the problem with the repugnant clans. You're going to hear it in the upcoming video. I'm going to be weighing in on Consuelo's channel, where I'll be a guest speaker on tomorrow night. I'll be sure to share her channel in the chat so you can join us over there at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 6 Central, 7 Mountain, 8 Eastern. But I'm going to play a video of the interview she did with James, who's running opposition in that Republican primary against Byron. So when they do these, he's got some, you'll hear it, James got something he wants to give these high school kids $10,000 upon graduation, but it's a no to reparations. I'm not going to jump ahead of myself. Let me focus right here. All this nonsense, baby bonds that crazy ass, goofy Cory Booker was recommending. Baby bonds and Elizabeth Warren and all her BS. The fake Pocahontas. and Joe Crow's student loan bailout. If the Negro Freedmen is only 20% of our collective that is degreed, who benefits from a student loan bailout? Immigrants. That includes the Glacier Donkey. They're immigrants. None of them are foundational to this country. None of them. 283 million tethers. We're the only ones that were here. We populated the world as Africans. We're the cradle of civilization. But they like to sit up here and act as if we were that everywhere on the globe, but here. Even though Columbus said he saw people that looked like us when he got off them boats. He didn't say nothing about seeing Siberian looking folks, the mestizo looking folks. He said the copper color people. Now those are the monuments you can find. When you go down to Cancun, you can see the Mayan ruins down there with the broad noses of the Africans. You can't find no slave ships, but you can find the Mayan ruins down there in Cancun. I've seen them with my own eyes. So yeah, he wants to sit up here, and this is what they do. Class-based policies. Just giving our reparations away, 1 million going north under class-based policies. And once you do that, where is the Negro still? Given that we are the least to benefit. On the bottom. Let's go.
It's a comparison point. 2/3 of the American people did not go to college. Is it okay for Joe Biden to say, well, we're going to forgive student loans, even though 2/3 did not go to college? Is it now the debt burden of the 2/3 of the American people that did not go?
4/5 of us didn't go. 4/5 of Negro American are not college degreed. But do you see how they pivot and try to say, well, we can't do it because we just want to lump all of these tethers into the pot and talk about what they were robbed of in Joe Crow's bailouts for mostly them, in the same way affirmative action served who? White women, LGBTQIA, XYZ white men, and the tethers. The same way DEI did the same thing. Let's just skip over the Negro Freedmen and all the things we did to render them bottom caste. All the things we did to make them bottom caste. The war on drugs, the war on poverty. Let's just skip to the loo right past that. And then close the doors, shut the gate down, and leave them to perish.
I will tell you the answer is no. People may not like that, but that's the reality. And brother, I want to be respectful of you because I understand the reparations argument. But we are now more than 150 years from the Emancipation Proclamation. We are easily 80 years from the end of the Jim Crow era. Who now? I just addressed it. I said no, and now I'm giving my answer. And here's the thing. So here's what I'm gonna say, because and I want to thank you for your service. Because what's coming up in the room is taking you too long to answer. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want Vice President Harris to talk about Venn diagrams and then tell you, yeah, okay, yes? Is that what we're gonna do? Do you want Joe Biden to not?
Now, why he playing? You know good and well, Skamala threw her hat in the presidential race on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday on Howard's campus, and as soon as she could get her itch ass on a damn video, she said she ain't doing nothing specific for the Negro Freedmen. So why you playing? Because this is parlay tricks that the tethers have learned quite well from the Glacier Donkeys.
Even be able to answer your question because he won't get into the details of this. Because the reality is you have a lot of people who will throw out talking points because it sounds good, because they want your vote, but they're not going to do what's necessary to make sure that you're successful in this country.
And neither has the Repugnant Clan, Byron. What has the Repugnant Clan done for Negro Freedmen to ensure that we're successful in this country? Put it in the chat. And look at them clapping. Folks that look like you and me, niggardly clapping for this nonsense this man just spewed. Family. I see you, Pinky. I see you, y'all over here. I was over there cooking, y'all. I didn't see y'all had come into the room. Thank you so much for joining the live, family. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, because y'all know I'm going to cook. Let's continue. I just want to show you that because this is what happens on both sides of the aisle when you continue to vote identity and respectability parlay tricks. You're literally voting for your own erasure and replacement with tethers of all persuasions. Let's continue. I got more to share. I'll be over, as always, family, to read my co-host chats at the end. But right now, I got to cook.
Out. And he's not the only one. There's governors, immigrant governors who've done the same thing. The Congressional Black Caucus is mostly immigrants. They push back against anything for us. But answer me this question. Have you ever seen that Negro push back against things that benefit LGBT? Does he push back against things that benefit Jewish people? Does he push back against things that only benefit immigrants? He's only pushing back against things that would benefit us. See, I couldn't go to Jamaica and be like, hey, I know you guys are trying to get this reparations from CARICOM. Leave it alone. I don't agree that you guys should get it. And they would platform me, and that they would allow me to back political parties. They would run me out of Jamaica for saying some shit like that. And y'all call us agents for pushing back against this. This is why I don't respect y'all. This is why I don't give a damn about what y'all have to say. Because y'all sound just like these white supremacists who have a problem when we protest against police unaliving us, but they never speak out against us being unalive. That's how y'all sound. Who's the real agents? I really don't give a damn about what y'all say. Y'all can keep that projection. Keep that shit over there. There's a reason why we ain't fucking with y'all no more. See, we've tried this whole let's kumbaya. And listen, I know it's not all Africans, it's not all Caribbeans, but goddamn it, there's too many.
Too many!
No one's speaking up against this, but they have a problem with us when we do.
The brother's right. We could never advance in the way our government has assisted these tethers in advancing in the country of our ancestors. Nowhere in the world. That's why I'm pushing my Negro Freedmen protest voter strategy. Been pushing it since 2016. Because we got to fight for the only country we got left. This is it and this is all. Because you will not even get the advances our ancestors died for us to have nowhere in the world. Let's go. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you in advance. Got a few more to show you before I get to the interview. Hold on, family. I'll tighten up on the edit. There's a specific order I'm trying to present these in. Okay, so this one I'm about to share is Byron Donalds speaking on Jim Crow and marriage. And then we're going to examine who he actually married. And I got some talking points on that, but of course I do. Stand by. Lord have mercy.
The Black family was together.
That's right. Hold on, y'all.
During
Sorry.
Jim Crow.
Let me back it up. Oh, that's
Black people always have been conservative minded. but more black people voted conservatively. And then HEW, Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are. What's happened in America? You see, during Jim Crow, the black family was together.
That's right.
During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then HEW, Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are. What's happened in America?
Okay, I want to show you that, so stick a pin in it because I got something to say about it. Stand by.
Married to a white woman. So I just want to know.
Hold on, y'all. I don't know why this is not starting from the top.
What was his point?
Oh, just a second, y'all. My apologies. Let me put on my glasses because I see a bar. Oh, there it is. Let me shrink it a little bit, y'all. Stand by. If I can get to that little dot on the bottom, I could back it up to the beginning.
And Joy Reid wanted to know his point too. The sister interviewing. Shout out to that.
Y'all stand by. Jesus.
U.S. Representative Byron Donalds says that during Jim Crow, black people were together. Black families specifically was together. The ironic part about it is, after Jim Crow, after integration, he himself is married to a white woman. So I just want to know what was his point. And Joy Reid wanted to know his point too, the sister interviewing. Shout out to that sister Joy Reid, because she says, does she think interracial marriage affects the black household? And he tried to—
Damn Skippy. But this is the problem when you've got melanated immigrants that have a bigger microphone, a bigger world stage and platform to speak in the interest of Negro, but sleeping with Becky, sleeping with Ling Ling, sleeping with Maria. We know good and damn well that all them options wasn't available during the Jim Crow era. We were all we had, and that's when we made the most advances. This is why I always tell y'all, Negro love, marriage, and babies is the real revolution. But as soon as these ninjas got interracial sexual access, they abandoned the black woman and the black family. So here you got a Tether want to talk about how we were more together as a nuclear family during the Jim Crow era, and you laying down with Becky and producing kids. Which is why you can sit up here and say no to reparations. Because number one, as a Tether, you don't get none. Number two, yo, Becky ain't getting none. And that's with all these tethers, including the Glacier Donkey, fear. Us getting reparations and them trading places with us. Because they know what we're going to do with our cash repair. They know good and well what we're going to do with that money. But they always like to tell you, oh, you're just going to waste it on Jordans. You're just going to waste it at the nail shop. You're just going to blow it on your weaves. If I chose to burn it in the middle of my living room floor, ain't nobody's business if I mother sucking do. That's mine. That's why I call them Crayolas with 3 Ks. Because they do the bidding of wanton white supremacists. The wanton white supremacists don't even have to speak against it like that because they've got these tethers, these melanated immigrants that will do their bidding happily. Let's continue.
to say, no, that's the great thing of being away from Jim Crow, because it doesn't, and not realizing that when black people knew we had black people, we stayed together. Integration made us forget, because here's what they won't tell you. As a black child, you're taught that black is ugly, black man is ugly, black woman is ugly. So what will you glorify? The nations that you integrated to. When we were segregated, we glorified each other. U.S. Representative.
So everybody wants our rhythm, but nobody wants our blues. Everybody wants our rhythm, but nobody wants our blues. There ain't nothing ugly about the Negro Freedmen. We are the prettiest, most beautifulest people on the planet. An amalgamation of everything and everybody in the Negro Freedmen. Which is why you see them, Africans, bleaching their skin. Which is why you see them going under the knife. Which is why you see them trying to get asses like ours. Which is why you see them trying to get lips like ours. Which is why you see them at the beach trying to get this melanin popping like ours. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Yeah, but these tethers love to get into position to talk about what's best for us, what they not gonna do for us after they taken advantage of everything that our ancestors intended for us. Pull the gate up, close the doors, and tell you to continue doing it by your bootless straps. Let's continue. A political example comes to mind. Byron Donalds of Florida, who says that because both of his parents are from elsewhere, he will vote no on reparations for us. Bet he wouldn't deny concentration camp or Japanese internment descendants their dues, despite having no connection. So that was Arthur Watkins here. Talks about Byron. He adds him, second-gen immigrant, telling American freedmen why reparations should not be paid. It's time for all American freedmen to delineate from all those immigrants that call themselves black. Yeah, and that's a recent advent. That's a recent advent because prior to us delineating, everybody was identifying as to where they came from, me no black. But since we've been fighting for delineation, deportations, and reparations, now they want to come under the black umbrella. Now they're looking for us. In 1988, then President Ronald Reagan simply apologized and announced reparations to Japanese. It wasn't open for discussion. They didn't troll with an unrelated Asian group or other outside of color citizens. Our struggle lasted longer than this or the Holocaust. Both parties suck for the Negro. I'm pushing a protest vote against the demon rats whom our collective has been loyal to for 70 years. And as a result, all we got was bottom caste. Here's another one. This happened recently in 21. Meanwhile, the survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre, which happened an even longer time ago, are shameless, being stalled as white supremacists and its allies intentionally run out the clock. Reparations paid 76 years after WW2 ended. Top Guam stories of 2020. Westmore is Jamaican American. I don't care that he has a parent that is Black American because he has rejected a reparations study in his state of Maryland that would benefit Black Americans. He doesn't get the privilege of being both. These tethers are melanated immigrants in high places working to undermine and ethnically cleanse the line. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. Let's continue. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you in advance. Let's continue. I got a few more. So, here's Byron. Now that's James who's running against him. James Fishback. We're going to get into that video. The Republican Party isn't racist, says Byron Donalds, Donald's opponent in the gubernatorial primary. Yeah, we are. Byron wants to turn Florida into a Section 8 ghetto, said James Fishback. But here's Byron with his Becky, as he tells the Negro Freedmen no to reparations. Let's keep going. Stand by for the next one, y'all. Here is Byron on the Breakfast Club. Byron Donalds is against reparations for FBAs because he doesn't qualify. This is what happens when you continue to vote blue no matter damn who. He's swinging for the red team, but there's lots of people on the Demon Rat side that agree with him. That's why you see the Congressional Black Caucuses fighting harder for immigrants for tethers than you do see them fighting for us. Let's go.
You've had massive immigration into the United States over the last 150 years. So now you're going to say that people who immigrated to the United States, who are not descendants of slave owners, were not descendants of that trade, now they're going to be responsible for paying that out going forward. My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of Black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of Black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit or get reparations.
Well, most people who are for reparations, they feel like it should go to what they call foundational Black Americans anyway.
And I agree with that point. But I'm just saying, I'm just laying out, these are the reasons for why I'm no. So while I'm saying now,
you do support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational Black Americans?
No, I don't. How many people in the United States today are actually descendants of slave owners? Forget descendants of slaves. Let's hold that to the side. Descendants of slave owners. You've had massive immigration into the United States over the last 150 years. So now you're going to say that people who immigrated to the United States, who are not descendants of slave owners, were not descendants of that trade, now they're going to be responsible for paying that out going forward. My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of Black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of Black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, y'all. This is what voting Demon Rat and not weaponizing our votes nor socializing our suffering prior to my campaign since 2016. We finally got 28% out in 24. This is what happens when you vote identity and respectability pie tricks for the Demon Rats. Your erasure and replacement with folks who look like you that will tell you no to your repair because 50 million of us would benefit, 4 million of them would not. Let's continue. Hold on, y'all. Am I done? Wait just a second, y'all. I think I'm done. Oh. A little comic relief for y'all. His laugh tickles me. Okay, let's get into this interview, y'all, because it's going to be a minute with this interview, y'all. Thank you for your patience.
So welcome, James. How are you?
I'm doing great. Merry Christmas, Consuela.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you. So thank you for taking out the time to interview with us here on X and on YouTube. We really appreciate you taking out that time. So I have some questions already I wanted to ask you about with everything that's going on right now. I will get to your candidates or your running mates, right? But I wanted to ask you about your background and you being a fourth generation Floridian. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's great to be here. What I mean by that is my family has known my state now for 4 generations. My great-grandfather, Clifford Lincoln Fishback Sr., fought in World War I and then went on to run and own a small hotel on Fort Lauderdale Beach, right at the intersection of Sunrise and A1A. My grandfather fought in World War II, was a cattle rancher in Okeechobee by day, was a college professor by night. My own dad cut trees for a living and was sadly replaced by illegal immigrant labor after the Haitian earthquake that lost his business, and then went on to proudly drive the city bus in Broward County, where I was born and raised for a decade. And now me, born and raised Floridian in South Florida, now proudly calling North Florida home.
Okay. And I will say I am a transplant to Florida. So I'm originally from Tennessee, but like you, I've had grandfathers that fought in World War II and veterans in my family as well. And we'll get to it, but we know that immigration is impacting Americans, right? And we know that immigration has impacted the freedmen on numerous occasions. So this is a pattern for us to keep going through, but we'll get into that. So another question I have for you is, what made you decide to run for governor? Because you're very young, you're 30 years old.
Well, Lord willing, I'll be 31 in a week from now, which will be a nice little feather in the hat. You know, I'm running because we need a governor to pick up the baton from Governor DeSantis. Sadly, he's term limited, but I'm running really to do 2 things, Consuela. I'm running to preserve the conservative wins under this governor, and then running to make life more affordable for our young people, for our families, and for our seniors. And that's everything from housing, property tax, property insurance, auto insurance. I'm paying more to insure the car that I drive than it costs on the monthly car note for that car. And so a lot of things just don't make sense. But here's the truth. It should not be this hard to raise a family and afford to live in what is the greatest state in the country. And so if there's one thing that I'm running on, it's affordability, not just because it's nice to pay less and to be able to afford more, but because if our young people cannot buy a home, they cannot get married. If they cannot get married, they cannot have kids. If they cannot have kids, Consuela, what is then the point? And so affordability isn't just something that is thrown around when it comes to balancing a checkbook or thinking about how far a dollar is going to go at Publix or Walmart. Affordability is literally existential to our people surviving in this state and country.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, what I want to interject here is this is the difference, a major difference between him and Byron. Byron has been endorsed by Trump. Byron has received AIPAC money. Byron has received $45 million allegedly from Miriam Adelson, who gave $100 million to Trump's campaign. And they all are in bed with Israel. This young 30-year-old who was able to run down his lineage, at least 4 generations, many of us as Negro Freedmen got a good 12 to 20 generations up in this country. But I digress. He comes from a father who was replaced by an illegal on the job, so he understands that part. And he's fighting for the underdog because guess what? If he wasn't, Trump would have endorsed him. He's 30, soon to turn 31. And I'm just already liking this part to what he's got to offer, because he's not backed by AIPAC money. Miriam did not give him $45 million. He is just coming from the mud. A native of Florida. Why should a Tether, who tells the Negro Freedmen no to reparations and not even be from the country? I mean, he was born in the States, but I do believe he grew up in New York. So he gets to come to Florida and be the governor, when he don't have the thumb on the pulse of the people in the way this young man does. Let's continue. I'm going to try not to stop too much. Thank you for your patience while I found the version that I wanted to share with you. I promise I will put the rest on the cutting room floor.
I agree totally with you. That's the one reason why I was like, we have to have you to come on to the Freedmen channel and speak to everyone about your passion and why you're running for governor. Now, you are an investor, correct? So how does this role support you becoming governor of Florida?
Well, I've spent the last 10 years not as a political person, really. I've always been a registered Republican, conservative, and never going to apologize for my political beliefs. But I've spent the last 10 years.
Republican, so hey.
And I think that's the.
And I'm an independent. Weaponizing the vote, socializing the suffering, pushing a protest vote against the demon rats, preferably, so that the Negroes can flourish in the country of our ancestors, the only country we've ever known, the only place we really got.
The cool thing about it is that at the end of the day, we want to separate, the fact that not all Republicans are the same. Not all Republicans, and I respect for my opponent, Congressman Donalds, but he in many respects is more of a Democrat than some of the Democrats are with his policies and his voting record. But to my background, I spent 10 years, the most recent of that little bit, running my own investment firm that took $40 million of investor capital to invest in companies that were doing something radical these days, which is hiring people on their skill and merit as opposed to their race or gender. So when Best Buy came along and said that 1 out of 3 new employees had to be, quote, people of color, that was an insult, one, to Black people, because it assumes that they are themselves not qualified to attain these roles. And you and I both know that's a slanderous lie. And then 2, it's an insult against literally everybody else, whites, Hispanics, Asians, to say that, you know what, guys, even if you're qualified, we are not going to bring you into this role. So my investment firm, Azoria, directed up to $40 million of investor capital to invest exclusively in companies that are hiring on our God-given traits, abilities, and talents, not on our race, gender, etc. So it's an anti-DEI investment firm. That's been my focus. And what I've learned is that you can say you want to do things, but then you actually have to do things. And these companies, what they've done is they've said they prioritize diversity in hiring. You really want to prioritize diversity. You don't think about it at all. You have a very aggressive meritocratic pipeline that says we're going to hire the best person for the job. If that person happens to be a white man, so be it. If it happens to be a Black woman, so be it. But at the end of the day, if you want to achieve diversity, that should not be your goal. The goal should be to hire the best person possible. The last thing we want is some racial resentment, some racial strife between employees about who really belongs here. And I got to tell you, I meet, when I was in college, a young Black girl who always felt the resentment that she didn't belong there. The only reason she got into that school was because of her race and gender. No one deserves to feel that. And no one also deserves to feel that because that they are white, that they should somehow apologize for the alleged sins of their ancestors. We need to get back to basics, and that is a pure and unapologetic meritocracy. That's what my investment firm has been doing, and I'm proud of the work. And I'll continue that work as governor, which is pushing for a meritocracy, pushing for an economic system that works for all of our citizens.
Flag on the play. This is where I disagree with Mr. Fishback. What white folk do you know who is at the hiring tables? What Tether, what immigrant do you know that is going to fairly and squarely hire the Negro freedmen based on their merits? That does not exist. What has happened with affirmative action that was intended for us, DEI that was intended for us, it's been co-opted and corrupted to benefit white women, LGBTQIA, XYZ white men, and immigrants and illegals. And this is why, family, our fight has got to be based on lineage and not race. The problem here is our boomers, our silent gen did not put the gate up securely and lock all these people out before it became this kind of problem when you can have a white man, I don't know many white men that are in high positions based on merit. They're there based on what their fathers and their grandfathers and their great-grandfathers killed for and stole from the Negro freedmen. They are there because they got the complexion for protection. It is rare that they are as meritorious as the Negro freedmen. The Negro freedmen can have all the way up and through their doctorate's degree and still have a struggle finding gainful employment. Because these glacier donkeys, these tethers, are not hiring them based on how smart they are, what they've got to contribute. They give zero damns about our resumes, our education. We don't have the complexion for hire. When these tethers get into position, all of these tethers practice nepotism. And they will just as soon lie on you to get you removed. Whether it's in a position of low skill or whether you're at the executive branch, they will make up ways and lie on you to move you out the way to bring in a tether, usually from their own ilk. The glacier donkey takes care of the glacier donkey. The Hispanic take care of the Hispanic. Like that. So, this is on some BS. I don't believe in this meritocracy. I believe that we need affirmative action to serve who it was originally intended, in the same way I believe the 14A should serve who it was originally intended, the Negro freedmen, exclusively. Because what they like to try to do when they're in these type of positions is to make this country raceless. They want to act like racism doesn't exist in the workplace. Racism no longer exists in the hiring practices. We're just going to allow everybody to be hired based on merit, while the Negro freedman has no agency at the hiring table. Which is why we suffer the highest rates of unemployment and underemployment, no matter where you lie on the spectrum, from the low-skilled labor to the executive. Let's continue.
Well, I will say, you know, this whole thing about DEI, people think it's more of the Black Americans that needed the DEI, and it's not even us. I mean, we're a very small percentage of the DEI. And it's just another way, I think, that they have utilized race to put others that come here on top of the freedmen. That's the way we look at it, because we're not getting the jobs. You look at our unemployment, we'll talk about that, our unemployment within our community and how immigration affects our community, legal and illegal, you know. So I appreciate you stating that, because that has been something that people try to say, oh, Black people need certain things to, you know, get jobs. No, we're very comparable people, right? We're very intelligent. We have all kinds of inventions throughout this country.
You can be intelligent as you damn well please. You need policies in place to guarantee that you get gainful employment. I disagree with Consuelo here. It's not happening by merit for the Negro Freedmen. We actually need affirmative action, but we need it to work exclusively for us the way it was originally intended. And our boomers and Silent Jen didn't put a gate on it. They benefited and left us high and dry. Let's go.
That you're utilizing today, and some of them didn't even have a college education. But the other thing I want to talk to you about is your candidate, your the forerunner is, well, before we get to that, heritage American, and you kind of touched on it. You know, Vivek is stating that this doesn't exist. What are your thoughts about that before we get into the candidate?
Well, he's lying. He's absolutely lying. There's a big difference, Consuelo, versus an American that got here 4, 5, 6 generations ago, who fought in the Civil War on either side of the Civil War. You've got Americans who are descendants of slavery. You've got Americans who have fought in every single major conflict. And according to Vivek, the person who got here 3 weeks ago from Haiti, so long as they sign a piece of paperwork and attest that they're an American, they're an American. We had this logical fallacy a couple of years ago with our progressive friends on the other side, and we would ask them over Thanksgiving dinner, what is a woman? And they would say, a woman is someone who identifies as a woman. And if you ask Vivek or Byron Donalds, what is an American? They say an American is someone who identifies as an American. No, that is a lie. An American is someone who has pledged their allegiance to our country, who respects the demographic makeup of our country, our laws, has pledged their unwavering loyalty, their exclusive loyalty to our country. And so when you come here illegally and break our laws, you cannot be an American. If you come here from Afghanistan, Haiti, or Jamaica and take resources from actual American citizens who are productive, you cannot be an American. And if you come here and you criticize the demographic stock of our country, our way of life, our Christian values, you cannot be an American. And so I 100% believe in the idea of heritage Americans and reject this notion that folks like Vivek Ramaswamy want to traffic in, that an American is anyone who claims to be an American. That's the kind of circular reasoning that we rejected from the left when they pushed the transgender hoax on us.
Right. And that's the whole thing. Like, how can you not acknowledge the natives of the country that built the great nation and say that everyone that comes here is on an equal footing, which it's just not true, right? You have different citizenships. You have different, you have naturalized, and then you have natural born. So I agree with you with that. I'm gonna share my screen because then we're gonna get to talking about some of the other things that are coming up and one of your opponents. And I had to bring this out because this has been a major issue in our community. And I say our community, I mean the Freedmen. And a part of it is because we understand everyone was not here. That's why I had to lead with the heritage American. We understand everyone wasn't here during the time of slavery, right? And so with that, it does not stop the fact that there's some things that we have to work on in our country as Americans. But when I look at and hear and listen to Byron Donalds, it's not what he's saying to our people. It was just insulting. It was very insulting. So I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna make sure my screen, if you can see this, I'm going to play this and I want you all to listen.
I'm going to jump because we already went through that video, okay?
People that did not go. I will tell you the answer is no. People may not like that, but that's the reality. And brother, I want to be respectful of you.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing that. But I just wanted to play that one, right? And then I know this is a challenging topic for people. However, I want people to be able to see how, unfortunately, when we have immigrants to come into our country, Americans can't do politics. We have to be able to do politics for Americans. And this is something that we have to tackle. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, that's right. And let's just be completely honest of what Byron Donalds is. Byron Donalds is a tether. He is not an American descendant.
Wait a minute, James. How do you know the term tether?
He is a tether. He is not an American descendant of slaves. So when Byron Donalds cries like he has over the last couple of weeks because I call him a slave to AIPAC, a slave to corporate interest, a slave to the pro-immigration lobby that has hurt every race of Americans, but has also hurt Black Americans who disproportionately work in food, hospitality, leisure, and customer service. He is in no position, has no right to be complaining about me calling him a slave when he has absolutely no direct descendant of slavery in his family. He's from Panama. He's from Belize. His dad's from Jamaica. Irrelevant. Here's what I will say. Okay. Unequivocally, I do not support reparations in any form. I would not have supported the reparations for Japanese who were interned. I would not have supported reparations for Chinese Americans who were expelled. And I would not have supported reparations and do not support reparations for the descendants of slavery. But here's what I can.
And thank goodness we don't need none of these tethers, none of these immigrants, none of these glacier donkeys to support it. We don't need them to support it, to demand it of our government. We don't need them to agree that it is a debt that is owed to us. So they can not believe in it, not support it all they want. Ultimately, this fight is between us and our government. And if we don't weaponize the vote, we will never see reparations. We must weaponize the vote against the demon rats so that the next time we give them a trifecta, they'll have some act right and know what the hell they need to do. Because my position is, if the Negro Freedmen can't flourish in the country of our ancestors, no one will. That includes the demon rats. They're the ones that declare war against us, weaponizing our never-ending Holocaust, weaponizing our votes against us to lift up all these other groups over us to keep us tethered to the bottom of the Titanic. They declared war. My protest vote is a return of that missile. Because you, Negro Freedmen, we're never going to see reparations from a party that we just give our votes to without making demands of them. And they don't believe the fat meat is greasy until they see it frying. We can't just defeat them in 24 with Trump. We must defeat them in 26, 28, 30, 32, 34. We've got to be willing to die. That's how much we've got to defeat the demon rats. This is a war. There will be casualties. And so this is what the weaponization of the vote looks like. It looks like finding out who your enemy is on both sides of the aisle and voting against them. It's not identity parlay tricks. It's not respectability parlay tricks. What is in the best interest of the Negro Freedmen? And a tether whose reparations is being in this country and benefiting everything your ancestors fought and died for you to have, who this just stepping a foot into this country is their reparations that will tell you no is here to undermine, erase, and replace you. Which makes someone like Lily White James Fishback the lesser of the two evils. Let's continue. Oh, let me say this one thought before I continue. So when you're in Florida and you've got a primary coming up in August, you go out and make sure you get James in, Negro Freedmen, Floridians. That's what you do. You change your party from independent, I've done it out here, to vote in the primaries. I have changed my party to be able to vote in the primary, then I change it back afterwards. So that's what y'all gonna have to do. Change your party, become a Republican for 5 minutes to get in them polls and vote this man so that he can beat Byron Donalds in the primary. Let's continue.
Can commit to. I can commit to creating an economic system that works for one group and one group only, and that is American citizens living in the great state of Florida. Consuelo, we have to be very clear about what has happened because of people like Byron Donalds. Last year, he said, quote, I want anyone from anywhere who wants to come here and work and contribute to come. The problem is that when anyone from anywhere comes here to...
Who's that sound like? The demon rats. Did you hear what he said? Byron Donalds said he wants anyone from anywhere who wants to come into the country that our ancestors built with their very lives and wants to work to be able to come here, y'all. I told y'all that the liberals and the demon rats and the rhino repugnant clans are not about Americans. They are about our ethnocide, along with our justice claim.
Contribute. They are by definition taking a job that would have gone to someone locally who is a citizen, a job in agriculture, a job in hospitality, a job in customer service. And so if you want to do what's right by our working citizens.
Now, if only 20% of Negro freedmen are educated, whose jobs are they actually taking when Joe Crow and Skamala, the border czar, open the borders to 25 million unvetted, unvaxxed illegals and dump them into what's left of our communities post-gentrification? That's 80% of our collective that are being denied jobs that will enable them to get married, to have children, to buy a home, because you need both of those incomes these days. If a Negro freedman man can't work an American job with an American wage, how can he afford to marry the Negro woman? How can they afford to have Negro babies and keep the line going? And that's what it's designed to do. Ethnically cleanse the Negro freedmen by economic genocide. And that is what Byron Donalds is for, and that is what Fishback is against.
You have to stand up to the immigration influx. Now, Byron Donalds supports open immigration because it's good to increase their profits by bringing in cheap third world labor from the Caribbean, from all over the world, from Central and South America, because those people will work for $4 an hour and our people will work for $15 or $20 an hour.
And what eventually happens when you bring in these illegals and immigrants alike who are willing to work for lower wages and lesser benefits? America becomes third world.
Byron Donalds said 2 weeks ago at the University of Florida that we need to have the H-1B visa program, which brings in Indians and Chinese to take our jobs because, quote, our kids are not economically viable. He thinks that our kids are not smart enough, but the Indians and the Haitians, they are smarter than us. And so we have to import them to take jobs away from us. I'll give you just one example. In 2015, he said that we need to use the H-1B visa program to bring in pharmacists. That one of the top pharmacy schools in our state is at FAMU in Tallahassee. How dare he? How dare he say that the graduates of FAMU or FSU or UF are not sufficiently qualified, that he would rather throw them overboard and then bring somebody else on the ship who is from India, China, wherever, it doesn't matter. And so I'm running to do one thing, and that is to make life more affordable. But the precondition of affordability, Consuelo, is having a job. If you do not have a job, literally everything in your life is going to be unaffordable. And if you don't have a job because Byron Donalds is a slave to corporate interests and big super PACs that want to bring in cheap foreign labor, not because they love these people, not because because they will work at half the rate and do double the work. And that is a system that enables the great replacement of all American workers. And I will end that system as Florida governor.
Okay. And you know, thank you for that. And you're running for governor. And one of the things that we had a problem with, we have a problem with, is I heard you say you wouldn't support reparations for any group. However, a part of American Constitution, First Amendment, is you have the right to file for redress of grievances against your government. And so some things have happened that we have to rectify, and we do have a past president of the United States that is willing to do some work in that area. But you're about being the governor, and I like that. It's about being the governor and making sure the citizens of the state of Florida are put first instead of the immigrants or migrants, as they may say, right? But the other thing that is happening amongst the freedmen is that we are delineating. And we touched a little bit on the heritage part, right? And so I brought up Byron Donalds because he is an immigrant, and he utilized Black. Everybody utilizes Black as it's nothing. I'm Black like you. No, you're not Black like the freedmen. The freedmen are the only Black people in America, right? Because he did go through Jim Crow. He never ever, he doesn't have any descendants.
No, his family didn't go through Jim Crow. He has no he's not a direct descendant of slavery. His family didn't go through any of that. So I don't know why he's whining, calling himself Black, calling himself this, that, and the other, calling me racist for saying he's a slave. Consuelo, the Oxford Dictionary defines slavery as someone who is controlled by somebody else. Who else would give Byron $40 million this early in the campaign if he weren't a slave to his donors? And that's the problem, is Floridians of all races need a governor who's going to fight for them. Let me just give you one example of real economic empowerment that does a couple things. Okay. Here's my...
I did want to interject here. Their money is of no consequence when we get out here and weaponize our votes. Kamala had $2 billion. The Negro Freedmen, the 28% that went out here and voted against her, even the ones who sat it out and did not go out here and vote the demon rats, were the reason she was defeated. Because these demon rats need no less than 90% of us to turn out. 90% of the collective. So if a lot of us sat it out, 28% voted for Trump, and of the ones who showed to the polls, 90% of Black women and 77%, he got 20, 28, 22. 77%, thank you, God, of Black men that turned out to the polls voted for her. That is why she lost. I know they like to try to say it was all the folks that voted for Trump. The Hispanics always vote 50-50. Our vote is the swing. So they're sitting up here trying to give credit to these other groups for electing Trump when that's the way they normally vote. It was the Negro vote that defeated Kamala at the polls, based on what I just said. Quite a large percentage stayed home. We're not talking 90% of 50 million of us. At least 25 million stayed home, 25 million or more. Because about 40% of us usually don't vote until Obama came on the scene. So now that they're over that trick bag, They have gone back to doing what they always do, sit it out, which to me is politically lazy. I don't agree with it. But if there's a choice between voting demon rat and staying your ass at home, I prefer you stay your ass at home. So be encouraged. It don't matter how much money Byron has if Negro Freedmen show up to the polls during the primary and put James Fishback in that seat to run against the demon rat down there. So don't let the money part discourage you from getting out there and doing what you got to do. Weaponize your vote. Let's go.
Policy. I call it the Florida Sunshine Grant. And what it says is if you are an American citizen who is a Florida resident and you graduate high school with a 3.0 or higher and a passing score on the SAT, you are going to get a $10,000 check. You can use.
This is the kind of bullshiggity. These are the class-based policies I'm talking about that don't fix Negro Freedmen. He is no different than the demon rats and Joe Crow's student loan debt erasure. These are class-based policies. So in lieu of giving us the reparations we are long overdue, let's just repair everyone and keep the Negro Freedmen on the bottom. Same thing happened during the pandemic. Let's give the Negroes reparations to everyone. Same thing that happens with the NGOs. Let's give the Negro Freedmen reparations to everyone. Same thing that happens to make the illegals more American than the Negro Freedmen for the vote. Let's give the Negroes reparations to everyone. I disagree with this part. No to reparations, but let's give each student that graduates $10,000. If everybody gets $10,000 and they already over top of you, where does that leave you? Still on the bottom. Let's go.
That money one of two ways. You can use it as the down payment for the mortgage on your home because we want you to have a home. We want you to have a family. We want you to live out the full arc of the.
What's $10,000 down payment going to do for the Negro Freedman who suffers the highest rates of unemployment, underemployment, and evictions in the state of Florida, where the median home price is probably as much as California's around $1 million?
American dream as we're commanded to do in the Bible, to be fruitful and to multiply. We want you to do that. Or you can use that $10,000 to invest in yourself, whether it's career training, technical training, or a small business. No strings attached. Now, what is that going to do? That is going to incentivize kids from all over the state, especially in Black communities, to really step up the game, to get parents more involved, and to create a real financial incentive that says if you get good grades, if you get a great SAT score, and again, you have to be an American citizen. You cannot be an illegal immigrant. You cannot be a recently arrived immigrant. You have to be an American citizen living in Florida, graduating from our high school, meeting those conditions. If you do that, $10,000 is waiting for you on the day of your graduation. Consuelo, in 1960, half of working 30-year-olds had a home and were married. Today, less than 15% of 30-year-olds have a home and are married. We are seeing a cultural genocide against American citizens. We can't afford to exist in our own country. We can't afford a home. We can't afford to raise kids. And what I want to do,
if that's true for American citizens, how much more true is that for the Negro Freedmen?
as governor is I want to create a system that, one, increases the standards of academic excellence at our schools, but also actually reward students. We're going to keep the Bright Future Scholarship Program. We're going to keep tuition low for our great public universities like FAMU, like UF, like FSU. But we also have to create the Florida Sunshine Grant, the FSG, that allows our people to have a real opportunity to get ahead. Because when 52% of the homes in South Florida are being purchased by foreign nationals, when you're being outbid by a foreign national from China or from Canada on your first home, you're being outbid by $1,500. That's the difference, Consuelo, between staying in that home, getting married and raising a family, or being stuck on the wrong side of town, living in a studio apartment and not being able to live out the full arc of the American dream. And so I am running for governor to make life a little easier, but a heck of a lot more affordable, because affordability, for everything that's said about it, it is the only way folks can get ahead and actually raise a family and live out what we are all called to do.
Well, let me ask you this. Does this also apply to those that do not decide to go to college, but they want to go to a trade school?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I think that's a real conversation we need to have more and more. Everyone says, college is the way to go. I got to tell you, I meet bright kids every single day, and they are just as excited about getting into technical fields, getting into HVAC, getting into truck, where they can make real money right away in a field that is far more protected from artificial intelligence than some of this white collar work like accounting or entry-level legal work. And so it would absolutely apply to technical school, as would the Bright Future Scholarship. We're going to make sure that applies across the board. But I want to be very clear. That is a $10,000 check at graduation if you get a 3.0 or higher. And one thing I'm also going to do is I'm going to mandate that if you're a student in our public schools, your parents have to show up twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring, for a parent-student-teacher meeting. Twice a year. We got to get our parents more involved in the classroom. And that is not optional. That is not a recommendation. That is mandatory. The parents have to show up twice a year and meet with the teachers, their students' teachers, and work from there. And then lastly, I want to introduce a disciplinary system where it's a 3-strike policy. If you've got people who are acting up, who are being a disciplinary issue, who are fighting and causing a mess in our school, they will be removed after the 3rd strike. They'll be given 3 strikes. After that, they'll be removed and sent to an alternative school where they'll get an opportunity to finish up school and get a GED. But we cannot have kids who are running around, causing trouble, starting fights, bringing drugs to school, and ruining it for the rest of us. The last thing I'll say, because I want to just finish up this point, because you guys are spot on. The American freedmen are spot on this frustration with the mass migration that has come into our country. As governor, I'm going to end the mass migration that comes into our workforce, that steals jobs from blacks, whites, Hispanics, all types of American citizens. But number 2, I'm going to sign an executive order as governor that removes illegal immigrant children from our school. Why? Because I was in Southwest Florida earlier this year, and I sat across from a teacher who broke down crying. She had 20 kids in her class, 7 of whom were illegal immigrants from the Caribbean and South America. They didn't speak a word of English, so she had to spend precious class time away from the Americans in the room to teach those kids in broken Spanish, holding back the entire class. Our teachers don't deserve that, and our American students do not deserve that. Our school is for Americans. So I'm going to sign an executive order that removes any student who is from our public schools. You don't pay tax dollars. I don't pay tax dollars. The folks watching at home, we don't pay our tax dollars to fund the children of illegal immigrants. Our schools in Florida are for Floridians, are for our citizens. And that's what we're going to do. And by the way, that's going to save us money and allow our teachers to actually focus on the kids who belong here. That's going to totally transform our schools overnight.
And I think you just hit on a major point, because I do know educators in Florida, and they have been complaining about that for the last 3 or 4 years. Like, a lot of teachers left the profession because they could not deal with the bureaucracy of having to sit in a classroom and knowing that all the American children are getting left behind because they're placing all of these immigrant children that can't speak the language into the classroom. And they were very frustrated. So you hit on a great point. The other point I want to make about education is, do you support President Trump's school voucher?
I do. I do. And you know why? Because for far too long, the Democrats have told us that it's racist to support school choice. You know what's racist? To oppose school choice. It is racist to tell a black mother of 3 children that her children have to suffer in a public school that is failing them, as opposed to giving them the option. It would be no different for the children of a white family in Lakeland or a black family in Belle Glade or Pahokee. The best option that we can give folks is real, genuine education freedom. If that's public school, so be it. If that's private school or Christian school or charter school, so be it. But I want to make something very clear as well. I am absolutely for competition. I'm going to support what the governor and the president have done with universal school choice and with school vouchers. But I'm also not going to abandon our public schools, because a lot of people, especially in the Florida Panhandle, which was a hotspot in the Civil War, conflicts like the Battle of Mariana in Jackson County, I am not going to allow our public schools to be abandoned. Because if you live in a rural county like Jefferson or Holmes or Madison, you may not have a private school or a school choice option to send your kids to. And so we are going to make a generational investment in our public schools. We're going to raise teacher pay across the board, at the same time that we're also de-stressing the classrooms by removing the kids that don't belong in the classroom. That's also going to speed up the pace of mass deportations, because when you stop giving the illegal immigrants free childcare and they have 7 kids at home all day whining and crying and being a distraction, guess what? They're going to realize maybe we should take the $3,000 from Kristi Noem and head back to our country. Let's be very clear about something. It is not brave to break into our country and steal from us and steal jobs and steal taxpayer resources and break our laws. The brave thing to do is stay right where you are in your country, whether or in South America or in East Africa. Stay where you are. Stay where God put you. God did not make a mistake by putting you there. Stay where you are and make your country great. Don't come here and act like you're entitled to everything when you have contributed absolutely nothing to America.
And that is the going.
Sorry about that, guys. Someone was ringing the doorbell at this hour. But anyway, the problem with what he's saying, yeah, you're absolutely correct. But if you had a government that was willing to give you everything, even allow you to commit billions in fraud as they line their own pockets, as they fund their own campaigns, would you say no to that? If you had a country whose corporations were going to hire you and give you preferential hiring over their own citizens, would you say no to that? If you had a government who opened the borders for free for all and allowed unvetted, unvaxxed illegals, if you had a government abroad that would allow you to just walk into the country and give you free housing, free health care, free job fairs, free jobs, free cars, free scooters, free health care, would you say no to that? I have a great disdain for these politicians sitting up here putting the onus on the illegals and the immigrants alike. How in the world are you going to offer them a free American way of life, not insist they put any sweat equity into the country, and then tell them, oh, God said you belong in Africa. God said you belong in the Caribbean. Like what? What? You don't make sense. Their countries don't offer anything but crime and corruption. They get this opportunity to just be given an American way of life, and the onus is on the immigrant to stop coming into the country. It's an insult to our intelligence when the government and the corporations are both complicit in why they keep coming. Let's go.
Thing now, it's like, hey, let's go to America. America is a free fall. We can get whatever we want. America's a welfare state. That's the way I've been looking at it here recently. It's very obvious that the Americans, and especially the freedmen, have not been included in as Americans. And I really, it's for me, it's been really challenging to deal with or communicate with people that don't want to acknowledge the history of America. And they get here and say, it's like everything is theirs and they're entitled to everything, and they have no equity, no contributions here. So the other thing I wanted to ask you, and I know we're getting ready to close out, but are you polling? Do you believe in polling Floridians on the issues that are most important to them?
I do, but I also believe that polls can be highly misleading, and my job is to make the right decisions, even if those decisions are unpopular. It was unpopular at the time for Governor DeSantis and novel virus from China called COVID to actually keep our schools open and refuse to allow our churches to be shut down by radical Democrats, to allow Christians and Jews and Muslims to actually go to their places of worship during a man-made pandemic. That was unpopular, but the governor was right to see through that unpopularity at times and actually do the right thing. So my job, I think, as governor is to always talk to people, to never shy away, to have a two-way street. I can tell you, I've been in this race for 4 weeks and we've already visited a dozen counties. My commitment is I will visit every single Florida county. No place is too big or too small to meet directly with voters. And Consuelo, I'm not going to these counties to give a 2-hour stump speech. My visits, my meet and greets will look like where I was in Palm Beach County 2 days ago. I stood in a pizza parlor with 80 people. I was in the kitchen and 80 people were surrounding me, and I took questions for 3 hours straight. They were on their feet for 3 hours. I was on my feet for 3 hours. You deserve a governor that you can see, talk to, and even debate with. And my commitment is I may not take a poll on every issue, but I will in effect be polling people by having these open conversations with them. And I'm not always going to agree with them, and they are not always going to agree with me. But I think what we're going to agree on is that we are all Americans, and I'm going to meet you where you are, take your questions, and tell you my perspective on the important issues. And I got a lot to learn. I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't know everything. Unlike Byron Donalds, know it all. I'm not a cocky, conceited individual who's going to sit around and lecture people on both sides of the aisle. I do not know it all. I am in this race because I recognize that my state needs someone who's going to step up, who's going to fight for affordability, make it easier to buy a home, afford groceries, get a great paying job, raise a family, and when it's all said and done, retire with dignity. But I got a lot to learn on the campaign trail. And in just 4 weeks being in this race, we've gotten over 50 million views on social media. I think the poly market betting market on us is up to 20%. So we are hitting the ground running. But the only poll that matters is going to be on August 18th, 2026. I say that because a lot of people will tell me, well, we like what you're saying, we'll vote for you in November. No, I'm not guaranteed to be on the ballot in November unless you vote for me on August 18th. That's the Republican primary. I'm running against Byron Donalds in the primary. Governor DeSantis is term limited. That means that we're now vying for who is going to be that Republican candidate to represent the party in the general election. And so you got a choice. Do you want an America Last Republican like Byron Donalds, or do you want an America First Republican like me, who recognizes that, one, we have to stand up to Blackstone, who's buying up our single family homes. We have to stand up to the construction and overdevelopment that's ruining our state. We have to end foreign immigration in our state that's stealing our jobs and our tax dollars. And we have to create a system that doesn't work for illegals, that doesn't work for immigrants, but works for American citizens. That's why I'm running. And I hope I'll have the opportunity to earn people's votes, not necessarily in this conversation, but over the next 9 months. All people have to do is make sure they're registered as a Republican and they can vote in that Republican primary on Tuesday, August 18th, 2026.
Okay, y'all, I'm done with that because if you want to see the rest of that video, you can go to Freedmen_channel on YouTube to check out the remainder of that video. I didn't want to belabor because we're already at 10:15 and I've got to honor my co-hosts who have been busy in the chat. Who have been super busy, and I want to give them some love and weigh in on what they think about it because they're the co-host and they matter. Hi, James Brown. I see you, family. I don't know if you were on the last live when I thanked you for the love in my Cash App. For those of you who want to bless the broadcast, bless my advocacy on behalf of Negro Freedmen exclusively, you can do so on Cash App at $TRPTV. and it's rolling in the description bar below. So thank you, James. Good to see you. Hi, JDN. Oh, thank you, baby. JDN Vidya Shield. They'll start they'll start giving black students a 2.999 in order to avoid giving them that 10K. You know what? It's so tragic. I'm gonna call you JD because I don't know how to really make out your name, and I apologize for that. It is so tragic that this country is falling like the Roman Empire because these glacier donkeys are so hell-bent on us not having a hot damn thing that they would destroy themselves before getting on the same page concerning what we're long overdue. So you're right. If it's something that's going to benefit everyone, we're only about 17% of the population in Florida. That's far better than California, where we're about 3% out here. That we were once 17% in the state of California until we were legislated out and ethnically cleansed about this piece with immigrants. James Brown says 2 wings of the same buzzard. Well, like I always say, y'all cannot get us caught up into a perpetual cycle of the lesser of two evil voting, then decide to sit it out when the line is on the line. You've got to find and eke you out a tangible. Neither party is for reparations. So you continuing to vote the couch means you're willing to give away your local politics to tethers like Byron Donalds, Wes Moore, the girl that heads up Yvette, what's her name, that heads up the Congressional Black Caucuses. We've got to two-step our way up out this piece, and I heard some things that, as an American, I prefer James Fishback over what I know to be true of Byron Donalds. He is a rhino in bed with the demon rats. I'd rather go with someone who's willing to make America better for Americans. And you've got to reach that own resolve for yourself. It's your vote. You can do with it what you will. But I'm telling y'all, if you don't get out here and vote for someone that's got something where you can hold on as an American, you're dooming not just yourselves, but your children and their children. So this is what it is. It's a duopoly. It's a two-party system out this piece. I didn't make it that way, but I need to weaponize it to ensure we get something out the deal, if not as Negroes, at least as Americans. I'm not willing to let the country go the way of the Obamas, the way of a Byron Donalds, the way of a Wes Moore, the way of the Yvette Clarks. I'm not willing to do that. Very good, family. Thank you. But yes, back to your point. Yeah, they would just as soon come up with a trick of the hand to ensure the Negro Freedmen don't get their 10K upon graduation. You're right about that. By the time you go into debt paying tuition, that 10K will pale in comparison to what you owe. Family, you ain't never lied. But they got us between a rock and a hard place. You got to have either a trade certificate or you've got to have a degree. And you still going to be underemployed. What we really need to do is learn how to be entrepreneurs and hire our own like these others do. Work in cooperation. Cooperatives, owning the business so that we can gainfully employ our own. Because we ain't got nothing coming from these immigrants and / tethers. You already seeing it for yourself in every demon radically ran city and state throughout the country, and it's encroaching on the South. It's happening even in Texas. Because like I said, it don't matter if you deporting illegals if you're not punishing the corporations that are hiring them. Whenever there has been a mass deportation, Americans are showing up for those jobs. That's a way for the Negro to get put back on. So it's best for him to go and brush up his trade skills or get some trade skills so that when these deportations happen, they could go and absorb those jobs. Since only 20% of our collective have degrees. But I wouldn't be in the position I'm in if I weren't degreed. You literally can't get six-figure jobs out here in California. You can't even really interview for them. They want you to be what? Degreed. So you can't disparage higher education. You can't disparage the fact that, yes, you may have to take out loans to give your children an education and life skills that are going to help them get some semblance of an American way of life. I don't mean a frivolous degree in what? Psychology. I'm talking about degrees in industries, business, things that are going to help them at large when they get out in the world. They can't just be majoring in African American studies, which is more African than it is American. That degree is not going to serve them. So either the trades or they need a college degree. It's unfortunate. You're absolutely correct. They have to go into debt. That $10,000 ain't even gonna matter in the end, because most of the HBCUs, where I believe all of our children need to attend, are on the average $40,000 to $50,000 a year. When you calculate tuition, dormitory meal plans, and books and things, they make it so freaking expensive and out of reach for a lot of the Negro Freedmen, which is why our HBCUs are heavily dominated on both the student body and the administration by melanated immigrants. So yeah, you're absolutely correct, but you got to do what you got to do to get yourself an American way of life, or it's the end of the line. I know I hate them all too, but I'm not going to sit on the couch. No, I'm not going to leave my daughter's life to circumstance and chance. No, I refuse. I will weaponize my vote. I'm not going to play Negro roulette with the line because I hate both parties. I hate all of them. Hi, Tim Majors. Cool. Thank you for joining the live and contributing as a co-host. I wouldn't love for neither one of those clowns. Once he stated he doesn't support reparation for ADOS, American blacks, the conversation should have been over. No, family, that's not what I'm doing over here. I know that's what the Black Authority and Tariq Nasheed was pushing that real hard at first, but I think he got some act right and actually went out here and voted for Trump. Rumor has it, allegedly. But listen here, like I said prior, y'all can't get us caught up in a perpetual cycle of the lesser two evil. And while we're being ethnically cleansed by economic genocide, choose the couch because you don't like neither clown because they ain't in support of reparations, when no one from the demon rat side is either. I'm trying to teach on my channel how to weaponize your vote and socialize your suffering, akin to what you see happening to this day. I have felt the most at peace with immigrants fighting each other. 283 million of them, while 50 million Negro chillax for a damn change. Now, it don't mean that stuff ain't still happening to us, but it means they're fighting each other. They're imploding on each other, and I've never felt more at peace. I feel the most angst because we are the only ones in distress when the demon rats are in control of the country. Why? Because they're giving away more of our reparations in our communities to immigrants and illegals alike. If Kamala had won, she'd have made 50 million illegals and DACA citizens with the black vote. So they're all clowns. True to everything you say, everything disparaging you got to say. It's absolutely the gospel truth. No lies detected. And still get your ass to the polls to say the line. Please. And thank you. Don't be mad, Tim Major's cool. I pray you come back. I love you. Negro Freedmen strong. 80 strong. FBA strong. Yes, I do. I think JD says, I started from the bottom, y'all, because they never get no love. I usually run out of steam and they don't get no love. So I started from the bottom. I'm coming up. JD says, I think immigration should be shut down completely while deportations continue over the next 3 years. JD, it needs to be longer than that. I believe there needs to be a moratorium on legal immigration and an end to illegal being able to come into this country until times get better for the Negro. Once the Negro is flourishing in the country of our ancestors, then we can revisit it. But this has been going on since the 65 Immigration Act, and look at where we are. 3 years is not enough. And corporations and politicians alike need to be thrown up under the jail and fined up the ass for putting the Negro Freedmen in the bottom caste position we're currently experiencing as a collective. Maybe not you, me, those of us who tune in. But it is on those of us who tune in to say the line. Because the majority ain't over here. They can't even find me. I told you, ScrewTube shadow bans me. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. The revolution is being social mediaized. We're it. And what we do with this vote or not do with this vote is going to determine whether or not the line continues. And when you understand the stakes to be as high as they are, you'll get your ass up off the couch and get out here and hold your nose and do what you damn got to do. That's the way I see it. Shut it down for at least as long as it's been open, since 65. How many years is that? That's how long it needs to go. It needs to be done with until Negroes are flourishing as Americans with an American way of life. Not a moment sooner. Hi, Strongflower One. Welcome to the live, beloved. We cannot afford to be divided along party lines. We must choose loyalty to our people. You choose loyalty to your people when you vote in the interest of your people, not party. I am an independent. I know what the demon rats have done to us here in California. I'm asking a protest vote in the interest of the lineage to upend immigration. Legal and illegal. I want them both done. So I vote against people who are for it. Whether they are Byron Donalds on the Repugnant Clan side or Kamala and Tampon Timmy on the demon rat side. I go down my ticket and I vote against the demon rats because they are the ones that have exposed their hand during Joe Crow's term when they allowed 25 million unvetted, unvaxxed illegals to be dropped into what's left of the black community post-gentrification. So I went out here, even in California where it's blue, and we haven't managed to flip it red like Chicago's on the precipice of doing. My ballot bled. I looked for every American sounding name if they did not say that they were Repugnant Clan. And I did what I damn had to do. So that's what I'm imploring upon all of us. You show your loyalty to the line by showing up and weaponizing your protest vote in the interest of your people. Let's keep going. I'm coming up, you all. JD says, as Jason Black says, either we will all live equally comfortably or we can all live equally uncomfortably. I'm okay with the latter since they are okay with FBAs living uncomfortable. Family, JD, Professor Black True, Jason Black, TBA. Oh, yeah. I'm all about that life. If we can't flourish in the country of our ancestors, says the TRP, no one will. I'm quite comfortable watching hell on earth, watching them implode all over Minnesota. I'm totally at peace with all of it. And until we get to the place where we're at peace as a collective with them imploding and self-destructing, until we give up our empathetic hearts, our bleeding hearts, giving a damn about folks who clearly don't give a damn about us, we will remain on the bottom all the way to our ethnocide. So the way you make them equally uncomfortable is to do what? All together, class. Weaponize your vote with the protest vote against the demon rats and socialize your suffering. My strategy is working. And just like neither Donalds or Fishback supports reparations, the FBAs, I don't support either of them and would not vote for either of them. That's your prerogative, JD, but you know that's not what I'm on. The country is really in bad shape when the choices are Donalds and Fishback. We need to run our own candidates. At least then we can have leverage to get something through negotiation. JD, you ain't ever lied. We do need our own candidates, and I push that over here too. We absolutely need to run. But I'm the woman with the bullhorn. I can't run because I'm exclusively about the Negro Freedmen. I don't give a damn about the other groups, so I can't run. You need someone neutral like a Pamela Denise Long. I asked permission of Consuelo to play her video. I'm going to have to ask Afro Elite if I can do the same. Oh, no, I think I can ask ETM. I think they had her on. I might just ask her directly and bring her on myself. That's probably what I'll do. But yeah, darling, I say that, you know, I agree. We need our own candidates, and we've got them creeping up slowly but surely, but we need far more to turn the Titanic around. Yeah, and he doesn't care about anything she's saying. Even the EEOC does not help the FBAs. We have no friends, family. We are all we've got. That's why I'm saying to weaponize your vote, socialize your suffering. Anytime I'm in a position where I have to choose between the two evils, I choose neither. I'm not in Florida, but if I were, I wouldn't choose either. Well, I disagree with that, JD. Hi, Marshana Clark, 5829. Welcome to the live. Yes, Byron. Hi, Somalia. Somali against Pan-Africanism. Welcome to the live. Byron was born in New York. I thought so. But you see how freely they get to move about the cabin and run for political office and have agency and speak in place of a Negro Freedman as if they're us? Fishback is fluent in Portuguese and Spanish. He's half Colombian too. Yeah, well, this is what happens when y'all sit it out. And don't get out here and do what I've advised. Immigrants run your shit, so there's not much we can do about that unless y'all get up and do as I've advised. Run for office, weaponize your votes. Hi, Omawali, the elder, 6420. Why would it be necessary for the majority of white Americans to be the actual descendants of slaveholders when there were U.S. and state laws in place that supported both slavery and Jim Crow? Darling, Byron Donalds just talks out of his ass, honey. You can't. I was only showing you what we need to be out here voting against. He doesn't make sense. CBC is definitely for Israel. They're all in the pocket. AIPAC literally goes to the HBCUs to recruit these tethers, line their pockets, including Byron's, and that's who they ultimately work for. That's why we have to go out here and vote against it. The CBC also fights for policies benefiting Israel over policies that help the FBAs. No lies detected. Once again, Strong Flower, weaponize your vote. If small hats can be given a state for a crime done 2,000 years, then American can correct a wrong 250 years ago. Come on, speak truth to power. Power, Somali against Pan-Africanism. You're absolutely correct. I don't listen to these people talking against our repair. We're going to keep the pressure on. Ilhan Omar and Yvette Clark agree with Byron. Of course they do. Hi, Satra Del Reed 360. Welcome to the live, beloved. But Sister Reparationist, Panties will say Afro immigrants are needed for the numbers. Darling, you're absolutely correct. And they're gaslighting. What's the point in having numbers? First of all, we're 50 million to their 4 million. And that 4 million is not just Africans. Caribbeans are included in that number. So what's the point in having any of them here if they're not going to help advance the causes of the Negro Freedmen? They're useless. They need to go. And the Yankees who want to be in bed as the only people practicing Pan-Africanism in this country should go over to Africa and to the Caribbean and practice it there. I bet they won't. Hi, Root Trackers by Yaira. I don't care what Joy Reid says. She's a tether too. Me neither. Is Byron against the Office of New Americas and Cities for Action? Oh, no, he's probably very staunchly for it. The Office of New Americas is for our erasure and replacement, as founded by Barack Obama, honey. No, immigrants and tethers, which are immigrants, they are for the Office of New Americas because those policies benefit them, not us. We're simply being taxed without representation. We don't get benefits anymore. If you call up and you out here in California, you try to get Section 8 or food stamps, they tell you no. Because they're giving that to the illegals and the immigrants, which is why they will not allow the Trump administration to look into the books of the SNAP benefits and the like. Because like I've shared on previous broadcasts, California is at $70 billion in fraud. They are expected to reach $100 billion in fraud before it's said and done. So no, they're not against it. They want this and the fraud to continue, the NGOs to continue. And it's only our vote that can shut them down. I explained to you earlier, Latinos always vote 50-50. We're the ones that vote largely demon rat. And when the collective either stayed home or voted for Trump, Skamala and Tampon Timmy lost. We swung that vote. Not them showing up to do what they always do. And we were up against illegals voting in the general too. Because out here, Newska made it against the law to require voter ID. That's how they steal elections. mail-in ballots, and upending voter ID. Lieutenant Governor of Virginia is an Indian Muslim. You on fire. Thank you, baby. You know, I cooks, baby. Me and the ancestors and the spirit of the living God. Woo-wee. When they say speak on it, y'all know I can go now. Y'all know I can go. What's up, Pinky? Welcome to the live, beloved. And everyone that migrated to America benefits from slavery. If they didn't, they would have stayed their asses at home. Yes, family. I see you. Y'all know y'all got some names on y'all. Viper Kade, CA. I see you, fam. Welcome to the live, Vapor Rex. Grand Moon, Sister Angela and family. All right now. All right, y'all. Y'all was busy, but not excessively. I call them coon. You forgot the coon part, JD. Congressional black carcasses, okay? Congressional. All right, y'all. That's my time. What's the moral of the broadcast? The moral of the broadcast is we all we got. The moral of the broadcast is we all our children got, our grandchildren got, our great-grandchildren got. I'm going to be bringing you more of how to ether a tether and defeat them at the polls, no matter which side of the aisle they're on. The moral of the broadcast is to weaponize your vote and socialize your suffering. The moral of the broadcast is to protest vote. Implement my Negro protest voter strategy. Save the line. Get out of your emotions. Stop being so emotional. EQ out some tangibles. Get your ass up off the couch. We need all hands on deck when you got 283 million of them wishing and praying and hoping for your deportation. You got to get your ass up off the couch. You got to put the line first, second, third, fourth, fifth, 100. You got to do everything with you and your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren forefront of mind. And get out here and return the missiles for several election cycles. For as long as it took the demon rats to drive us into the bottom of the Titanic, it's for as long as you're going to have to weaponize this vote and run for office. So I thank y'all, as always, for tuning in. I'm going to say our declare and decree and pray us out. Put the prayer protection on us and get my butt in bed so I can get up early for church. Let me put in, y'all tune in tomorrow. I'm going to put this in the chat because she didn't send me a show link specifically, but I know what we're talking about. So you want to go to YouTube and you want to go to Freedmen _channel. That's Consuelo's channel. Give her a sub. This is the only way we get to speak against all of the puckery. Whether it's coming from the demon rats, the repugnant clans, the tethers, the glacier donkeys, the lamestream fake news media, we have to support those of us who are in the new Negro Freedmen media. Because we are the ones that are giving calls to action. We're the ones teaching you poli tricks through the Negro lens so you can avoid the landmines out here. We are the ones that have social media eyes, the revolution. That's us. And we are the ones who are shadow banned and demonetized. So we need your support. We need y'all to like our videos so that they can get up in the algorithms and more people can find us. We need y'all to bless the channels so that we can keep our channels going. These things cost to keep them going. So thank you in advance for your contributions to the channel. Cash App, $TRPTV. So I'm putting this in here. I'll be over as a guest. You'll get to see me on the camera. It's been a minute, y'all. But I'll be coming from church, so I'll be gussied up a little bit. That's 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. 6 o'clock. I'm putting it in the chat, y'all. 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, let me put that in there. So let me go down. Okay, I'm gonna show this one. So I will be a guest on Consuelo's broadcast. Make sure you tune in and show some love in the chat. I don't know if she does her format like I do. No, she didn't do that interview like that. I don't know. It'll be my first time a guest on her channel. Please join me over there. And if I got anything left in me, after I finish her broadcast, I'm going to bring you another one. I'm trying to get in 2 over the weekend. I'm going to try my best. If I got any energy left, I will be bringing you another broadcast. Hi, Perry. I see you, fam. I thanked you as well for being a patron of the last broadcast. Thank you for being a sponsor. I appreciate you. James Brown, Yaira. Thank you. Okay, y'all. So that's tomorrow. Give her a sub. That's how we get our channels to go viral. Okay. With that being said, let me pray us out. Let me do the prayer, the decree and the declaration. Okay. I declare and decree that the highest form of righteous judgment is served over all corrupt beings of the government, judicial system, including the police officers, CPS, Child Protective Services, judges, attorneys, FBI agents, the CIA, the Demon Rats, the Repugnant Clans, the Tethers, and all personnel working for the U.S. corporation with 3 Ks with wicked intentions. All hidden corruption and agendas are now destroyed forevermore in spirit and in flesh, in sleep and in awakened states, across all timelines, realms, and dimensions, known and unknown. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever Negro Freedmen and our allies are, God truly is, because, family, you are the face of God. Yes, you are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Until we meet tomorrow, I want you to make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your evening and morning. And until we meet tomorrow, I'm believing for each and every one of us a ton of peace, love, and reparations, deportations, delineation, family. Thank y'all so very much. Thank you, chat co-host, for keeping it lit. Good night.
Y'all don't hear us. Pull up a seat and motherfucking listen. Pull up a seat and motherfucking listen.
Pack your bag, time to go home.
Talking crazy on our soil where our blood and bones grown.
This our grind, we outside on it. While y'all fools on the outside looking, y'all show no respect to Black America, so leave. Hey.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, take your digits, make it just fly on.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, take your digits, make it just fly on.
You landed on the tarmac, fresh off the boat. Talking about y'all building nothing, man, you choking on the note. My ancestors the reason that this country even breathes. Picked the cotton, built the White House, planted the seed. Jim Crow laws, redlined the map, we was the target. You think that struggle's a costume, man, you can't mark it. We fought the wars, we bled the blood, we died for our future's chance. And you come here and give our legacy a side eye while throwing shade on the guard. While you benefit from doors we kicked down with our last breath. Now you spit on the architects who stared down death. Disrespectful, that's disrespectful, ungrateful, a slap in the face, the only people who gave a fuck. So let me show your ungrateful ass to the right place.
Pack your bags, time to go home.
Talking crazy on our soil where our blood and bones grown.
This our ground and we outside on it. While y'all fools on the outside looking, y'all show no respect to Black America, so leave.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, take your digits, man, just fly on.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, take your digits, man, just fly on.
Passport, the visa, the privilege to be here. Cause my grandma did march for y'all, so disappear from our land. You cosplaying our pain. Think it's a trend you can borrow, but you ain't inherit the ghosts of our sorrow. We the foundation, the bedrock, the soil, and the root. You not no branch on our tree, and unproductive people always cosplaying me.
Talking about we ain't do nothing, you lost your mind. We built this from nothing, time after time.
From the beginning to now, we been the backbone and muscle. Why you look down on the struggle and cause a whole tussle? That energy style was discussing, it's whack.
So let's make it clear, there's no turning back.
This land is paid for in full.
In blood, sweat, and tears, and dreams deferred.
You don't get to come into a house we built from the dirt and telling Black America y'all ain't worth nothing. That's a violation, facts.
Pack your bags, time to go home.
It's our soil on our soil where our blood and bones grown.
Show respect, this our ground, y'all just tenants on a leash.
Get the step.
Show no respect to Black America, so leave.
Don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, taking your digits, I can just fly on.
Don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, taking your digits, I can just fly on.
Yeah, fly little birdies.
Fly on back to where you came from.
This ain't for you. The sail is sacred.
We said what we said.
It's time
for y'all to go home. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. Got far away from here. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. Got far away from here. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. Got far away from here. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. Far away from here. Bye bye, little birds.